Hey everybody, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our podcast.
Today we're looking at the third big step of the Pokemon series.
We're covering the next season titled the Johto Journeys. It's a tongue twister. And Pokemon 3, the movie.
Right. So for this one actually seems to be getting a little longer than the usual ones. Usually at the end of each season, Ash makes it to the end and competes in the league, and then you don't know if he wins or loses till the end. He wins badges so he can compete. But for here, it seemed like this was going on longer than usual. Maybe because there's too many side missions at the because it goes into season 4. He's still trying to get the badges. I'm like, wow, you made this go double length.
Well, maybe we're really happy that they brought back Brock. They're so happy they want to show him as many journeys as possible.
Right.
And Ivy balls into it. And we never find out what happened with Ivy. I want to know what happened with Ivy so bad that he curls up into the fetal position in a corner every time you say her name.
Right? Is it that bad or is he overreacting? Even Team Rocket's like, why is this twerp like this? We don't know.
And I hope sometime we find out later. I don't know.
Right.
Sylveon, do we ever find out what happened with Ivy?
Right.
Let us know in the comments below.
Right. So in here they introduce a bunch of new Pokemon, and they kind of trade out Ash's 3 original with little elements for another batch. They have a Chikorita, Cyndaquil, sounds like it's crying all the time, and then a Totodile sounds like Donald Duck, and it's overly happy all the time, so much you can't focus.
Right.
and a lot of these kind of little bitty arcs or storylines with them, and Ash has to train them to get better, because now every Pokemon Ash gets got a problem.
And in this one he loses, well, he doesn't lose, he willingly gives up
Charizard. Yeah.
Charizard.
And that's pretty much sort of kind of controversial in terms of the story, when people think it's one of the dumbest things he ever did, when he had one of the strongest Pokemon out there, and he finally got to listen to him, and then he gives him away, and it's considered one of the dumbest moves ever.
But I think it shows the character has grown. I know I've heard people say he doesn't grow, but he does. He grew enough to know that Charizard really wanted that, and he stayed all night in that water with Team Rocket helping him stay awake so he wouldn't fall asleep and put his fire out and die, so that he could get in there with the other Charizard and be better. And it was unselfish of Ash to not only say, that's what you want, boy, you go ahead. But he knew he was the strongest one.
Right.
And he said, you go ahead and you develop, I want you happy. That shows growth in his character. Because before, when he started out, he wasn't like that. And he's learned more and more not to be selfish. He always seemed to love the Pokemon, but he's learning more and more to be not selfish like Misty. So I think it showed growth, and I don't think it was a dumb move. I think they deliberately want to show you, hey, this character is growing and maturing. He may not look like it, and he may not act like it at times, but emotionally, he is growing. And he's grown to love his Pokemon enough to let him go because he want to do something. He also let go
the little butterfly one.
Yeah, Butterfree.
Right. So this isn't the first time. I guess they thought it was like that because he's the strongest.
It wasn't the first time, but Butterfree was let go the first season. He had been with Charizard for 3 seasons. Right. And he let him go, and he also had Evolve. So this was much more difficult.
Right. And for this one, so with the 3 new Pokemon, each of them had their own problems. The Cyndaquil wasn't really strong on its own because, I told you it sounds like it's crying all the time when it goes off. Its flame wasn't strong enough. It would get sleepy a lot of the time.
It was like a baby.
Right. Yeah. The Totodile was overly excited all the time like a puppy. He would go, Totodile. He would play with all the Pokemon. He would run around and say, you gotta focus. He got a bug Pokemon.
He was the, Pokemon with ADHD.
Oh, and then they had one with like a bug or a beetle, and it kept licking sap and stuff. What the fight's over here? And then they had the one, I guess probably the most problematic was Chikorita.
Oh yeah, who had a crush on it.
Yeah, because at first it was kind of like uptight and stuff, and then when he saved her,
she wanted to fight, and she, no matter what happened, she was gonna battle till she won.
Right.
And then she did it so much they had to take her to the Pokemon clinic.
Right. And when he rescued her, and it's okay, you stay here, don't cause trouble. She was upset, like, oh my God!
He became her knight in shining Pokeball.
And then she went, and then her problem was that every time she came out of the ball, she would go and she would hug Ash or cuddle with him and say, okay, that's very nice. We can cuddle later, but you gotta fight now.
And she didn't want anyone else to be with him holding any other Pokemon or anything.
And jealous of Pikachu. Pikachu was always confused, like, Pika. He's like, what's wrong with her? But yeah, it was another fun season, even though it was going on double length. It's still really fun seeing all these little adventures. And, of course, the standalone episodes of Team Rocket. We get to see all these new Pokemon. And then with a new theme song. And the karaoke-mon, your favorite thing about this thing. I'd rather hear the Poke
Okay, here's
rap.
my favorite impression.
And the songs are to us. Yeah, you know, you guys or some other people
not
that like them.
It's the same
5 songs, yeah.
over and over and over and over.
Right.
And if they had different, maybe if they have done different songs throughout the series, not every day I understand, but just more than 5. But it's the same 5 songs over and over and over and over and over.
Right. I'd rather hear the Team Rocket's Rocket. I'd rather hear that than the same 5 songs over and over, or Brock singing a 50s tune about all the girls he liked. Well, there's only 2 sets of girls, either the Nurse Joys or the Officer Jennies. Right, and neither of them want him, so. Or Ivy.
So I was glad when this was over the next season. I truly was glad when that Pokemon.
Yeah, whatever.
But I do like Chikorita. She looks like she whips her little, I know it's not hair, but it's like she whips her hair.
Yeah, the little
she has her little necklace on.
Right, it looks like it's dressed up.
And she's real girly.
Right, but it's so funny. Every time she's out of the ball, you know, Tika, okay, we can cuddle later. You gotta fight now, please. And every time it's like, will you go fight? And then, when it's funny, we went from this really, really fun season, and then you get the theatrical film, which we must point out that every film takes place somewhere in the middle of each season, which is why you only have to watch so much of the season in order to watch these movies. And Pokemon third movie is considered. Oh wait, how
they
much
were
did it make?
smart enough to put less into the budget. It was estimated to cost between $3 and $16 million, which is much better than 30, and it took in $68.5 million at the box office. It took in less, but because they put less into making it and it still looked great, they still made a great profit.
Right. And now the third movie is considered the darkest movie of the franchise, darker than the one Mewtwo and the Pokemon fighting themselves.
And it didn't even seem like, based on the first 2, and even the crappy I choose you, it didn't seem like a Pokemon movie.
Yeah, which people are kind of it's kind of like the black sheep of the movies. You don't know if it's so good because it's different or so bad because it's different because of the whole story, how it plays out. It's like, this is like some other type of movie with Pokemon.
What's the name of the guy who made Ponyo
Hayao
and
Miyazaki?
Ariete? It seems like they were trying to go in that direction and make something that was in that type of vein for this movie. That's what it seemed like to me. They went way off track, and they were trying to create something like that.
Right. So for this one, like I said, it's a really different one. There's this little girl who lost both of her parents. Not in the way you think, like with Disney.
Well, it's what you thought.
Yeah.
It's what you thought at first, because that's the impression they gave you.
Right. And they're looking at these, they were called unknown, so I guess they were some mystery Pokemon. They didn't know what they were, their powers, or anything, and whoever went in there, they got lost in this dimension or something where all of them reign. And this little girl had these pieces where she unlocks the power, and then there's this legendary Pokemon called what was it? An NT.
Okay.
And it was hers. And she thought that was her dad in like a form of a Pokemon, and it did whatever she wanted. And then she started to transform everything around her, and the whole world's being covered in crystal or glass and stuff, and it was covering up everything, and they didn't stop her. The whole world would just be encased. And then she thought that when she wanted
a mommy, so she took Ash's mom.
Right. I'm like, what the heck? Yeah, it was just like what the fish thing after another, and not in a bad way. It's like, this is really out there.
Little, right. So no, it wasn't.
Right. It was like a really crazy thing to happen for Pokemon this going that way. It was more like you said, Hayao Miyazaki, more thematic, psychological than about the Pokemon and the adventure and stuff.
Absolutely.
And even to a point, it was so different to a point, Team Rocket's in there, but they couldn't attribute too much of anything because the story was so focused on this girl and Ash and trying to stop her for the whole world.
And they were simply trying to get out.
Yeah, because they said, because as soon as they got there, they got blasted, Team Rocket, and then they crashed. You said, dang, and like, are they dead now? Because they just didn't even get the blast off. They crashed, and then they were just trying to survive. Because even Meowth asked, hey, Jesse, you think we'll have a bigger role in the next movie? Because it's like, it's so much going on. It's like, man, there's not even any time for us.
It was really busy, very, very busy.
And it was even a point where they helped save Ash again. And he said, aren't you supposed to be the bad guys? And it's like, well, let me put it this way. If without you, we'd be out of show business.
Right. Yeah, I do like when people said that it was a really dumb idea that he let Charizard go. You got to see Charizard's growth in this movie because he saw it on TV and he went right to save Ash. And he was strong enough to do it. And he was trained enough to do it. And he was, what's the word I'm looking for? Disciplined enough to do what had to be done.
Right.
But before, it never would have happened that way.
Right. He probably would have been just going head on and then losing and stuff. So
I think that showed, he made the right choice. And I'm hoping sometime down the line in one of these seasons that Charizard comes back.
Yeah, and that's what it's kind of alluding to with the intros, especially when you hear these little new theme songs and you see all these different Pokemon and people in the background. So yeah, this is definitely right now the darkest one we've seen, not just for its story but the theme, and it's something completely different from Pokemon. And while it did do better in terms of reviews, and they claim it's better than the other two,
but you can see it definitely didn't do better at the box office.
No, and then they stopped.
$68 million. Great thing is it was a profit of 400%, but it did not do as well as it did in other years.
Right. So if you you probably have seen both seasons in the movie, so you gotta let us know what you think. Did you enjoy season 3 and the sudden shift in tone with the third movie? Did you think it was too much and non-fitting for Pokemon? Because it definitely was. Because people even talk about to this day, it's like the nostalgia thing is like, do you remember when Pokemon did that really dark movie, that girl, and she almost encased the world with this imaginary Pokemon that was so powerful than anything else on the planet? It's sort of like this thing, like, yeah, this happened. You're kind of shocked this really happened in Pokemon. Not a bad thing. It's just like surprising whether you
kept
grew up
telling
with
her
it.
It's your mind that's controlling it. And she was changing her age and appearance
Right.
and everything. So yeah, it was pretty different.
Right. So we can't wait to see what happens with the season 4 and the 4th movie to be able to cover that in the future as well and keep going with this series, because we can't wait to get to further in.
Yes. And
considering that XY and XYZ are considered the best seasons of Pokemon, with lots of growth from Ash and the character, the animation and stuff, we can't wait till we just keep going all the way till we get to Sun and Moon, and then we pretend it doesn't exist anymore.
And it won't take us 22 years.
Right. So, thank you so much for watching. I'm Oscar Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.
And reporters sitting flashing lights, trying to walk around, man, who the hell are you? What you wanna do? Well, man, it's on you. Man, it's on you. Hit her in my dreams, she was my queen. A castle in the mountaintops, rivers and streams. Plucking sunlight from the sky in my pocket. Give it to you later on in the form of a locket.